Hi there everyone, Rob here with WesternPacificWeather.com. It is currently the 5th of December 2011, and today we're going to be looking at some snow up in Hokkaido, also around northwestern Honshu. Looks like those ski conditions are really starting to improve. And as we look down into the Indian Ocean, we're seeing a few tropical areas down there prime for development. So let's dive into the first of those tropical areas. And on this satellite imagery here, we can see two areas in the tropics that are pretty prime for development right now. First, we have this area down here being rated a high chance of development by the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. That's this area right in here. You can see a clear circulation with it. At this point, it doesn't look like it's going to significantly affect the Australian coast, but could produce some high waves here in the coming days and some rain showers as well. But by the time it moves off in that direction, should dissipate. We'll dive a little bit more in that in a second, but also we're looking at this area up here in the South China Sea, just east of Malaysia, and that's showing some potential for development as well. But first, let's look at the area here in the Indian Ocean. And it is showing some clear organization and circulation around this. You got good inflow coming in from the equatorial regions and also good inflow coming in from the polar. And overall, it's fairly symmetrical as well. Very uncommon for this type of year out in this region, but does look like this warm core low is really starting to set up. And if we pull up the visible imagery here, you can still see some of that flow coming in from the north. Half the shot here was kind of cut off, but you still see some of those cumulus clouds in the lower levels flowing into the system as well. So that shows that moisture inflow. There also is some dry air off here towards the southwest. If we go back to the IR imagery, you can see the dry air down in this region kind of getting flowed into the system and wrapping around it. So that's kind of keeping it at that moderate intensity bit right now. But as of this moment on the evening of the 5th, none of the agencies out here has upgraded this to a tropical depression. If it does go up to a tropical system, I think a tropical depression would be about the max intensity before it starts to hit an upper level trough towards the south. And that would cause it to shear apart. And if we look at the GFS model outlook here, looking at the tropical system right here, you look on the next several frames and out into Monday and the Tuesday, see this upper level trough start to work its way in from the south here. It's actually right in here. That's going to hit this, and then you start to see it get sheared off slowly towards the east, and then really kind of quickly by Wednesday and the Thursday, it gets tore apart and pushed off here towards the Australian coast. And by the time it gets there, looks like it's going to be more or less a polar low with that kind of cold front extending off of it and a warm front right in here. Nonetheless, if it's not tropical related, I still think there's going to be some rain showers here to Western Australia up and down the coast. Definitely some high seas, and even with this, there is still a fairly tight pressure gradient. So something we need to closely watch by the latter part of next week, and even by midweek in the latter part of next week, and definitely next weekend here for the Western Australian coast. There could be the potential for this tropical system to move onshore. But as far as the circulation with the system at this time right now, it does look like it is there. This is actually the ASCAP pass from this system here, and it did miss the center of circulation, but if we just extrapolate and look at the eastern and western peripheries, you do see a circulation around it, even though it is not exactly confirmed. I doubt there's any ship obs out in this region to confirm up that circulation, but that's off on that one right now. Let's look off towards the South China Sea, where we have this area of convection moving across the region out here towards the Gulf of Thailand, and this could produce some heavy rain showers there for Malaysia in the coming days. But good news, this area is fairly disorganized, and this is actually looking at the visible imagery right in here. There is some flow coming in from the north, still seeing a lot of vertical wind along the eastern periphery of this. That's why there's that sharp drop off in the cumulonimbus cloud tops with that cirrus shield off here towards the west. But for right now, it does look like some of this flow could push down here towards Malaysia. But likely the track for this exact portion of the system is going to move off here towards the west. So rainfall in Vietnam is very likely as well with this system. So most of the Indochina region could be affected here. But if we look at the model outlook, it does look like it's going to pull it off here towards Vietnam. And here just showing the GFS guidance on this system, it keeps it fairly disorganized as it drifts off here towards the west coast, or excuse me, the east coast of Vietnam before moving off towards Laos. So that could affect some of those highly affected regions in Thailand and Cambodia, where we saw the heavy flooding last year and throughout much of the summer. So something to duly note here and watch in the coming days, as well as this tracks off here towards the west, likely moving onshore in Vietnam as shown here on the 6th and into the 7th. But this is really the only model picking up on this system. Many of the other ones really don't develop at all, so I don't expect any significant development with it, just a big surge of energy really with it. And lastly, let's push off back here towards the north and talk about that snow I mentioned at the beginning of the update here. Looks like around northern Hokkaido, you're seeing that snowfall come in from the northwest, all that cold air pushing across the Tsushima Current yet again. That seems like a very common occurrence out there. And if we actually look at the radar imagery from the region, you could see these areas in blue being indicated here along the western portions of Hokkaido. That is that ocean effect snow we're talking about. And it does look like even on western portions of the Alps here and along the coast of Honshu, you're seeing some of that snowfall come on shore as well. I do know that if you are here in Tokyo, you do see temperatures upwards of actually in about the high teens today. So very warm day out there today as opposed to what we've been seeing the last couple days. But as that cold surge continues to push in, looks like those temperatures are going to drop back down by the early part of this coming week. So something to watch out for. And actually, if we look at the low temperatures for Monday, you can see actually a low of 6 in Tokyo, 0 in Seoul, and 6 again in Shanghai. So very cool temperatures pushing towards the south with this. We look at Indonesia, 26 and 25 down there. So very warm air and definitely bringing that potential for tropical development as all that warm air is producing that latent heat. But that is all for right now, everybody. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, as usual, please post them in the comment box below. And also, if you enjoy this YouTube channel here, please check out my other YouTube channel. I'm going to be forming up here in the near future. I really do like a lot of these videos I'm posting here on this one with a lot of those weather shares. So right now, I'm just going to organize a new channel solely devoted towards this. Some of my adventures around Japan and also up and down the Western Pacific and even Australia. I've been there a few times as well. So thanks again for watching, everybody, and stay safe out there. Bye.